Hello, friends. I know I'm just an average guy telling creepy stories, but if you like them and get the scare you're craving for, please leave a like and subscribe. Enjoy the stories. The faint glow of my laptop screen sliced through the darkness of my small apartment, casting eerie shadows across the cluttered desk. Outside, the city's hum was a distant whisper, barely audible through the thick walls. I'd always been drawn to the internet's underbelly, those hidden corners where curiosity could lead to trouble. Tonight, I'd gone too deep. A cryptic post on a shady forum had hooked me. A string of letters and numbers, no explanation, just a taunt. Click if you're not scared. You'll never recover. I knew the dark web was a minefield of risks, but the thrill was too strong. My fingers trembled as I clicked, the decision feeling like a plunge into the unknown. The page loaded slowly, my VPN shielding my location as the screen flickered. A black void appeared. No text, no images, just an input box and a button labeled Proceed. The forum had mentioned a code, a key to unlock whatever lay beyond. I scrolled back, copied the string, and typed it in. The screen froze, then shifted. A grainy video feed filled the browser, silent, showing a room that sent a chill through me. Bare concrete walls, a single bulb swinging from a frayed cord, and a rusted metal chair in the center, empty but heavy with menace. The feed was live. The bulb's flicker felt too real, too immediate. My skin crawled. This wasn't just a video, it felt like a portal to something alive and wrong. A chat box blinked to life beside the feed, buzzing with messages from faceless users. It's starting soon. Don't blink. New blood's in for it. I tried to type, to demand answers, but my messages wouldn't send. I was locked out, a silent spectator in a game I didn't understand. My pulse raced, but I couldn't look away. A figure stepped into the frame, hooded, their face hidden by a smooth white mask with black voids for eyes. They dragged a person behind them, bound, gagged, eyes wide with terror. The figure shoved them into the chair, securing their wrists with zip ties. The chat erupted, messages scrolling in a frenzy. Numbers, codes, demands. The figure held up a sign, one word scrawled in jagged red: choose. My screen flickered, and a pop-up appeared, a poll with two options: red or blue. No context, no rules. I tried to close the browser, but the laptop froze, trapping me. The chat taunted, "Pick or they pick for you." My hand shook as I clicked blue. The figure tilted their head, as if they could see me. They reached into a bag and pulled out a syringe filled with a blue liquid, glinting under the bulb. The bound person thrashed, their muffled screams piercing the silence of my apartment. I slammed the laptop shut, chest heaving, the room spinning. Had I just caused something horrible? Was this real? I told myself it was a prank, a twisted show for sick minds, but those terrified eyes haunted me. Sleep was impossible. Every creak in the apartment sounded like footsteps, every shadow a threat. By morning, I'd convinced myself it was fake, but the need to know gnawed at me. I opened the laptop, expecting the site to be gone, but the link was still there, glaring from my browser history. I clicked it, hands trembling. The room loaded, but it was different. The chair was empty, the floor stained with something dark and wet. The chat was quieter, only a few users typing. Blue was a bad choice. Next one's tonight. My stomach churned. I scoured the forum for answers, but the original post had vanished. The user account deleted. I dug deeper into the dark web, chasing leads, but every path led to dead ends or locked pages. The more I searched, the more I felt watched, though my apartment was empty. That evening, my phone buzzed with a notification from an app I didn't recognize. A private message. No sender, just a string of numbers. You chose. You're in now. Attached was a new link. My blood ran cold, but I clicked, unable to resist. The page loaded instantly. No code, no barriers. The same room, the same chair, but now a table stood beside it, covered in tools. A knife, a hammer, a syringe filled with something murky. The masked figure was there, staring at the camera. The chat was empty except for one message looping, "This is for you." Text flashed on the screen. Select one. A list of tools appeared, each with a checkbox. I tried to close the browser, but it wouldn't budge. The laptop was locked, the cursor blinking over the options. The figure gestured to the table, then to the chair, now occupied by a new person, bound, their face blurred but their fear palpable. I clicked none, praying it would stop, but the figure shook their head. They picked up the knife, its blade catching the light, and approached the chair. The person screamed, the sound muted but chilling. I yanked the power cord, plunging the room into darkness. I didn't leave my apartment for days, checking locks, peering through curtains. Then, a package arrived. No label, no sender. Inside was a USB drive, plain and black. I hesitated, but curiosity won. I plugged it into an old tablet, one I didn't care about losing. A video file loaded, the room, the chair, the knife. The footage showed the figure carving into the bound person, slow and deliberate, then turning to the camera, holding a sign with my real name scrawled on it. I smashed the drive with a hammer, but the dread clung to me. I packed a bag and fled to a friend's place, lying about why I needed to stay. But the messages followed, texts from unknown numbers. You picked blue, pick again. I blocked them, but they kept coming. Emails, notifications, a note slipped under the door. We see you. I stopped sleeping, stopped eating, my world reduced to paranoia and the hum of my friend's air conditioner. Desperate, I went back to the dark web on a burner laptop, searching for answers. I found a forum exposing scams, where users whispered about a site called The Game. It trapped people with choices, each one pulling you deeper into its web. No one knew who ran it, but the stories were consistent. You clicked, you chose, and you were theirs. I posted, begging for help, but my thread was deleted instantly. One reply slipped through. They've got your data. They're inside your life. That night, my friend's TV flickered on, showing the room, the chair, the figure. They held a sign with my address. The chat was gone, replaced by one word: choose. A poll appeared: run or stay. I grabbed my bag, but the door was locked from the outside. The windows wouldn't budge. The TV flickered, and the figure tilted their head, waiting. I smashed the TV, glass shattering, but the image lingered. I pried open the door and ran into the night, ending up in a cheap motel paying cash. But the TV there turned on, showing the room, the chair, now holding my friend, bound, eyes pleading. A poll appeared: live or die. I didn't choose. I couldn't. I destroyed the TV and ran again, moving from motels to shelters, but the messages kept coming, on burner phones, public computers, scrawled on walls. You can't hide. Pick again. One night, I woke to static from the motel radio, a voice whispering my name, followed by cold, mechanical laughter. I unplugged it, but the sound echoed in my head. I went online one last time, using a library computer. The forum was gone, replaced by a single page. The room, the chair, the figure. The chat had one message: you're next. I ran, but a van pulled up, its door sliding open. A masked figure leaned out, holding a syringe. My legs gave out, vision blurring. The last thing I saw was the chair, its rusted surface gleaming, and the figure holding a sign: game over. The screen flickered, casting a sickly blue glow across the room. I sat hunched over my laptop, the only sound the faint hum of the machine and the distant drip of a faucet. It was past midnight, and the world outside felt like it had slipped away, leaving me alone with the endless sprawl of the internet. I'd always been curious, too curious, my friend said, about the corners of the web most people never touch. Not the surface sites, not even the sketchy forums, but the real underbelly. The dark web. It started as a thrill, a dare to myself. I wasn't looking for anything specific, just chasing the rush of stepping into a place where rules didn't exist. But curiosity is a dangerous thing, and some doors once opened don't close. It began with a random post on a ClearNet forum, buried in a thread about urban legends. Someone mentioned a site, a hidden one, that only appeared if you knew where to look. They didn't give a name, just a vague hint. Follow the red thread. It sounded like nonsense, but something about it stuck with me. I spent hours that night digging through subreddits, wikis, anything I could find. Eventually, I stumbled on a guide to accessing the dark web, Tor, VPNs, the usual setup. I wasn't naive. I knew the risks. I masked my IP, set up a virtual machine, and made sure my tracks were covered. Or so I thought. The dark web wasn't what I expected. It was chaotic, a mess of broken links, cryptic marketplaces, and forums that felt like stepping into a parallel universe. Most of it was boring. Scams, drugs, fake IDs. But then I found it. A site with no name, just a string of numbers and letters and a single image. A red thread spiraling into a black void. Below it, a prompt. Enter. My heart thudded. This was it. Whatever it was. I clicked. The screen went black. For a moment, I thought my laptop had crashed. Then text appeared, white on black, like it was typed in real time. Welcome, seeker. You've found the thread. Do you wish to follow? My cursor blinked, waiting. I hesitated. Every instinct screamed to close the tab, to shut it all down. But my fingers moved before my brain caught up. I typed yes and hit enter. The site shifted. A new page loaded, simple and stark. It was a chat room, empty except for one user. Guide. Their message popped up instantly. You're here. Good. The game begins now. My stomach twisted. Game? I hadn't signed up for anything. I typed back, what game? The response was immediate. Survive. Follow the instructions. Fail and you're marked. Marked? My skin prickled. This felt wrong, but I couldn't stop. I asked for the instructions. The first task was simple. Download a file from a link they provided. Against every shred of common sense, I did it. The file was a video, grainy and dark, showing a room that looked disturbingly like mine. Same peeling wallpaper, same dim lamp in the corner. But I lived alone. The camera panned slowly, revealing a figure in the shadows, just out of focus. My breath caught. The figure turned, and though the image was blurry, I swear it looked at the camera, at me. The chat pinged. Task 1 complete. Task 2. Leave your front door unlocked tonight. My blood ran cold. This wasn't a game anymore. I slammed the laptop shut, heart pounding. I checked every lock in my apartment, twice, then sat in the dark, listening to the silence. Nothing happened. No knocks, no footsteps. By morning, I convinced myself it was a prank, some elaborate troll. But when I opened my laptop, the chat was still open. A new message waited. You failed. You're marked. I tried to close the browser, but it wouldn't respond. The screen flickered again, and the video from the night before started playing on its own. This time, the figure was clearer. It was humanoid, but wrong. Too tall, limbs too long. Its face a smudge of shadow where features should have been. It moved closer to the camera, and I swear I heard a whisper through my speakers, low and guttural like it was in the room with me. I yanked the power cord out. Days passed, and I avoided my laptop. I barely slept, jumping at every creak in the apartment. Then the emails started. They came from random addresses, strings of nonsense characters. But the subject lines were always the same. You're marked. The messages were empty except for one line. You can't hide. I deleted them, blocked the senders, but they kept coming. Then my phone started acting up. Texts from unknown numbers, just static or garbled symbols. Once, my screen lit up with a photo of my apartment building, taken from the street. I stopped leaving the house. On the 5th night, I woke to a sound, a faint scratching, like nails on wood. It was coming from the front door. I froze, clutching my phone, too terrified to move. The scratching stopped, but then my laptop, still unplugged, powered on. The screen glowed, showing the same chat room. Guide's message read, Task 3, look behind you. I didn't want to. God, I didn't want to. But my head turned, slow and heavy, like something else was moving it. The room was empty. I exhaled, shaking, but when I turned back, the screen had changed. It showed my room, live, from an angle above my bed. I was on the screen, staring at the laptop, and behind me, just at the edge of the frame, was a shadow that hadn't been there before. I screamed and bolted for the door, but it wouldn't open. The lock was jammed, the handle frozen. My phone buzzed in my hand. A new text. You can't leave. I threw it across the room and grabbed a kitchen knife, my hands trembling so badly I could barely hold it. The laptop screen flickered again, now showing a countdown. 10 minutes. Below it, a new message. Task 4. Find the source. What source? My mind raced. The video feed? The site? I tore through my apartment, checking every corner, every closet, looking for a camera, a bug, anything. Nothing. The countdown ticked down. At 5 minutes, the lights in my apartment flickered. At 3, the scratching started again, louder from every wall. At 1 minute, my phone rang, the caller ID blank. I didn't answer, but a voice came through anyway, distorted and wrong. You're out of time. The lights went out. The laptop screen was the only light, glowing brighter than it should have. The video feed showed my room, but now the shadow was fully visible. It stood in the corner, tall and wrong, its head tilted at an impossible angle. It wasn't just a shadow anymore. It was solid, real. I could hear its breathing, slow and wet, coming from the corner of the room. I swung the knife wildly, screaming, but there was nothing to hit. The screen flashed. Game over. I don't know how I survived that night. I woke up on the floor, the knife still in my hand, the laptop dead. The door was unlocked, the apartment silent. I thought it was over. I burned the laptop, moved to a new place, changed my number. For weeks, I lived like a ghost, avoiding anything digital. But last night, my new phone buzzed. A single text from an unknown number. You're still marked. I haven't slept since. I keep hearing the scratching, fainter now, but always there. I've started seeing it too. Not the figure, but glimpses. A shadow in the corner of my eye. Gone when I turn. My new laptop, the one I swore I'd never use for anything but work, has started acting strange. Pages load that I didn't open. Files appear that I didn't download. Last night, I found a video in my downloads folder. One I know I didn't save. It's my new apartment. The camera pans across the room, and there, in the corner, is the shadow. It's closer now. It's smiling. The twist is, I don't think it's after me anymore. I think it's in me. Last night, I caught my reflection in the mirror, and for a split second, my face wasn't mine. It was featureless, a smudge of shadow. I don't know what I let in that night, but it's not just following me. It's becoming me. And the worst part, I'm starting to hear its voice in my head, whispering tasks, urging me to pass it on, to mark someone else. I don't know how much longer I can fight it, but if you're listening to this, if you find this story, don't go looking. Don't follow the red thread, because once you're marked, there's no way out. The glow of my laptop screen was the only light in the room, a cold, unnatural blue that seemed to pulse with a life of its own. It was late, too late for anyone to be awake, but sleep had been a stranger for weeks. I was chasing something, a whisper of a thrill that had started innocently enough. A friend had joked about the dark web, calling it the internet's haunted house, a place where the rules of the world didn't apply. I laughed it off, but the seed was planted. Curiosity is a cruel master, and it led me to places I never should have gone. It started with a forum post, a cryptic mention of a site that didn't exist on any search engine. The post was vague, just a line about a black door that only opened for those who knew how to knock. I spent days digging, piecing together fragments from obscure threads and half-dead wikis. I learned how to access the dark web, downloaded Tor, set up a VPN, triple-checked my security. I wasn't stupid. I knew the risks, or I thought I did. The dark web was a labyrinth of dead ends and danger, but I wasn't looking for trouble, just answers. That's what I told myself. After hours of sifting through broken links and shady marketplaces, I found it. A site with no title, just a string of random characters and a single image. A black door, slightly ajar, with faint red light spilling through the crack. Below it, a text box and one word. Knock. My heart was pounding, but my fingers moved on their own. I typed knock and hit enter. The screen went black. For a moment, I thought I'd bricked my laptop. Then, white text appeared, letter by letter, as if someone were typing on the other side. You've entered. The game begins. A chat window opened. One user was already there. Host. Their first message was simple. Follow the rules. Break them, and you pay. My stomach twisted. I typed back, "What rules?" The response came instantly. First rule, do what I say. Second rule, don't try to leave. First task, download the file. A link appeared. Every instinct screamed to close the tab, but my curiosity, damn that curiosity, won out. I clicked the link. The file was a video, low resolution and shaky, like it was shot on an old phone. It showed a dark room, walls peeling, a single bulb flickering overhead. It looked eerily familiar, too much like my own apartment. The camera moved, revealing a corner where something stood. A figure, tall and thin, its face obscured by shadow. It didn't move, but I felt its gaze like it was staring through the screen. My breath caught. The chat pinged again. Task complete. Second task, leave your window open tonight. I froze. This wasn't a game. I slammed the laptop shut and checked every window, every lock. My apartment was a fortress by the time I was done. But sleep never came. I sat in the dark, listening to the silence, waiting for something to happen. Nothing did. Morning came and I laughed at myself, chalking it up to paranoia. But when I opened my laptop, the chat was still there. A new message waited. You broke the rules. You're tagged. Tagged. The word sent a chill through me. I tried to close the browser, but it wouldn't budge. The video started playing again, unprompted. This time, the figure was closer, its face still a blur, but its shape more defined. Too tall, limbs bent at wrong angles. A low hum came through my speakers, growing into a whisper I couldn't make out. I ripped the power cord from the wall. The next few days were hell. My phone started glitching. Random texts from numbers that didn't exist, filled with gibberish or static. My email flooded with messages from blank addresses, all with the same subject. Tagged. I stopped going outside. I stopped answering calls. Then one night I heard it. A faint tapping, like fingers on glass, coming from my bedroom window. I lived on the 3rd floor. I didn't look. I couldn't. Instead, I checked my laptop, which I'd sworn not to touch. The chat was open. A new message waiting. Third task. Look outside. I didn't want to. My hands shook as I gripped the curtain, but something compelled me to pull it back. The street below was empty, lit by a single street lamp, but in the reflection of the glass, I saw it, standing behind me. I spun around, heart in my throat, but the room was empty. My laptop screen flickered, now showing a live feed of my apartment. The camera angle was high, impossible, like it was mounted on my ceiling. And there, in the corner, was the figure from the video, its head tilted, watching me. I screamed and ran for the door, but it wouldn't open. The lock was stuck, the handle cold as ice. My phone buzzed, a new text. You can't run. I threw it against the wall, grabbed a knife from the kitchen, and turned to face the room. The screen now showed a countdown. 5 minutes. Below it, a message. 4th task. Find it. Find what? The figure? The camera? My mind was unraveling. I tore through my apartment, ripping cushions, checking under furniture, looking for anything out of place. Nothing. The countdown hit 2 minutes. The tapping started again, louder, coming from every window now. At 1 minute, my phone rang. The screen cracked but glowing. I didn't pick up, but a voice came through, low and distorted. Time's up. The lights went out. The laptop screen was the only light, impossibly bright. The video feed showed my apartment, the figure now standing in the center of the room. Its face was still a shadow, but its eyes, God, its eyes were visible now, glowing faintly, locked on me. I could hear its breathing, ragged and wet, not just from the speakers, but from somewhere in the room. I swung the knife, slashing at nothing, screaming until my voice gave out. The screen flashed. Game over. I don't know how I survived that night. I woke up on the floor, the knife still in my hand, the laptop dead. The door was unlocked, the apartment silent. I thought it was over. I destroyed the laptop, moved to a new city, got a new phone, a new life. For months, I avoided anything that could connect me to that night. But it wasn't over. It started again with a package. No return address, just a USB drive inside. I didn't want to plug it in, but I had to know. The drive had one file, a video. It was my new apartment, shot from above, showing me sleeping in bed. The figure was there, at the foot of the bed, closer than ever. Its face was clearer now. Not a face at all, but a void, a swirling darkness that seemed to pull at the edges of reality. The video ended with text. "You're still tagged." I hear it now, every night. The tapping, the whispers. It's not just outside anymore. It's in the walls, in the air, in my head. I've started seeing it in mirrors, in reflections, always just out of reach. But the worst part, the twist that keeps me awake, is what I found last night. I was going through old photos on my phone, trying to remember what normal felt like, when I noticed something. In every picture of me, even ones from before that night, there's a shadow in the background. It's faint, almost invisible, but it's there. It's always been there. I think it was never about the dark web, the site, the game. It was just a way in, a door I opened. But whatever came through wasn't new. It's been with me my whole life, waiting for me to notice. And now that I have, it's not just following me, it's changing me. My reflection doesn't look right anymore. My eyes are wrong, too dark, too empty. The whispers are louder now, telling me to do things, to tag someone else. I don't know how much longer I can resist. If you're hearing this, don't look for the black door. Don't knock, because it's not a game. It's a trap, and once you're tagged, it doesn't let go. It's not just watching me anymore. It's becoming me. And soon, it'll need someone new. The glow of my laptop screen cut through the darkness of my room. Its cold light the only thing keeping me tethered to reality. It was well past midnight, the world outside my apartment swallowed by silence. I hadn't slept properly in days, my eyes heavy from staring into the digital abyss. It started as a flicker of curiosity, a reckless urge to explore the dark web. A place I'd heard about in hushed tones, a shadow internet where the rules of the world didn't apply. I wasn't looking for anything specific, just the thrill of stepping into the forbidden. But some things, once seen, can't be unseen. It began with a single comment on an obscure forum, tucked away in a thread about internet legends. Someone mentioned a site, no name, just a cryptic phrase. The window opens for those who ask. It was vague, probably a troll, but it burrowed into my mind. I spent hours chasing it, sifting through cryptic posts and half-broken guides. I set up Tor, layered my VPN, and took every precaution I could think of. The dark web was a mess. Dead links, shady markets, forums that felt like stepping into a nightmare. Then I found it. A page with no title, just a random string of characters and an image, a window, black as night with a faint glow pulsing behind it. Below, one word, ask. My heart thudded. I typed open and hit enter. The screen went black. My breath caught, thinking I'd killed my laptop. Then text appeared, white and stark, typing itself out. "You've found the window. Do you want to see what's inside?" A chat window opened, one user already there. Keeper. Their message was instant. "The game begins. Follow the rules or you're claimed." Claimed? My skin prickled. I typed, "What game?" The reply came fast. "Survive. First task, download the file." A link appeared. Every shred of common sense screamed to stop, but my curiosity was a beast I couldn't tame. I clicked. The file was a video, grainy and distorted, showing a room that looked too much like mine. Same cracked walls, same flickering lamp. The camera moved, slow and deliberate, to a corner where a figure stood, tall and wrong, its face lost in shadow. It didn't move, but I felt its gaze, heavy and cold, like it was staring through the screen. The chat pinged. Task 1 done. Second task, leave your window open tonight. My stomach dropped. I lived on the 5th floor, but the idea of an open window felt like inviting something in. I slammed the laptop shut, checked every lock, and drew the curtains tight. I didn't sleep, just sat in the dark, listening to the silence, waiting for a sound that never came. By morning, I convinced myself it was a scam, some hacker's cruel prank. But when I opened my laptop, the chat was still there. A new message waited. You broke the rules. You're claimed. The word claimed sank into me like a blade. I tried to close the browser, but it wouldn't budge. The video played again, unprompted. This time the figure was closer, its form clearer, too tall, limbs twisted at unnatural angles, its face a smudge of darkness. A low hum came through the speakers, growing into a whisper, words I couldn't make out but felt in my chest. I ripped the power cord out, heart pounding so hard I thought it would burst. The next few days were a descent into paranoia. My phone started glitching, texts from blank numbers, filled with static or symbols that hurt to look at. Emails poured in from nonsense addresses, all with the same subject. Claimed. I stopped going outside, stopped answering calls. On the fourth night I heard it, a soft tapping, like fingers on glass coming from my bedroom window. I froze, too scared to move. I lived too high up for it to be anything normal. I didn't look. Instead, I checked my laptop, which I'd sworn not to touch. The chat was open, a new message waiting. Third task, open the window. My hands shook. I didn't want to, but something pulled me toward the curtains, like a string tugging at my spine. I parted them just enough to see the street below, empty, lit by a single street lamp. But in the glass I saw it reflected behind me. The figure from the video, its head tilted, its face a void. I spun around, but the room was empty. My laptop screen flickered, now showing a live feed of my apartment. The angle was impossible, like a camera hovering above me. And there, in the corner, was the figure, its void face turned toward me. I screamed and ran for the door, but it wouldn't open. The lock was jammed, the handle ice cold. My phone buzzed, a text, "You can't leave." I threw it against the wall, grabbed a knife from the kitchen and turned to face the room. The screen showed a countdown. 5 minutes. A new message. Fourth task. Let it in. Let what in? The figure? Something worse? I tore through my apartment, searching for a hidden camera, a bug, anything to make sense of this. Nothing. The countdown hit 3 minutes. The tapping grew louder, coming from every window, every wall. At 1 minute my phone rang, the screen cracked but glowing. A voice came through, low and wrong, not human. Open it! The lights went out. The laptop screen was the only light, impossibly bright. The video feed showed the figure standing in the center of my room, its void face filling the frame. I could hear its breathing, wet and ragged, not just from the speakers, but behind me. I swung the knife, slashing at nothing, screaming until my voice broke. The screen flashed. Game over. I woke on the floor, the knife still in my hand, the laptop dead. The curtains were drawn, the door unlocked, the apartment silent. I thought it was over. I destroyed the laptop, moved to a new city, changed my number, swore off anything digital. For months I lived like a ghost, avoiding windows, checking reflections. But it wasn't over. It started again with a knock at my door. No one was there, just a small box with a USB drive inside. I didn't want to plug it in, but I had to know. The drive had one file, a video of my new apartment, shot from above my bed. I was in it, sleeping, unaware. The figure was there, closer now, its void face rippling like liquid shadow. The video ended with text. You're still claimed. The tapping is constant now, faint but relentless, like it's inside the walls. I see it in every window, every reflection. Not just the figure, but glimpses of something else, something that looks like me but isn't. The twist, the thing that breaks me, came last night. I was looking through old photos, desperate for a piece of my life before this. In every picture, every one, even from years ago, there's a shadow behind me. It's faint, almost nothing, but it's there. It's always been there. The dark web wasn't the start. The site, the game, it was just a trigger, a way to wake something that was already waiting. It's not following me anymore. It's inside me. My reflection is wrong now. My eyes too dark, my face too still. The whispers are louder, not just in my head, but in my voice, urging me to do things, to claim someone else. I don't know how much longer I can resist. If you're hearing this, don't look for the window. Don't ask. It's not a game. It's a trap. Once you're claimed, it doesn't let go. It's not just watching me. It's becoming me. And soon it'll need someone new. I never meant to stumble onto the dark web. It started with boredom, a restless night in my cramped apartment, the kind where the hum of the refrigerator feels louder than it should. I'd been scrolling through forums, chasing rabbit holes of conspiracy theories and urban legends, when I found a thread buried deep in a tech subreddit. Someone mentioned a hidden marketplace, a site only accessible through special software, where you could buy anything: drugs, weapons, secrets. They called it the dark web, a digital underworld where anonymity was king and morality was optional. I was curious, not criminal, but the allure of the forbidden pulled me in. I downloaded Tor, followed a sketchy guide, and within an hour, I was in. The dark web wasn't what I expected. No neon signs or hacker cliches, just a clunky, outdated interface that felt like the internet's forgotten basement. Links led to marketplaces with grainy logos and cryptic names, offering everything from counterfeit money to hacking services. I clicked around, heart pounding, half expecting the FBI to kick down my door. Then I found it. A site called The Archive. Its description was simple, a single line in broken English. See what cannot be unseen. No categories, no prices, just a black page with a red button labeled Enter. My cursor hovered. Every instinct screamed to close the tab, but curiosity is a cruel master. I clicked. The screen flickered, and a grainy video loaded. It was a room, dimly lit, with peeling wallpaper and a single chair in the center. A man sat there, bound, his face blurred but his panic clear in the way his shoulders shook. A voice, distorted and mechanical, spoke from off-screen. You wanted to see. Now you will. The video cut to black, but not before I heard a scream that made my stomach lurch. I slammed my laptop shut, heart racing, and swore I'd never go back. But the dark web doesn't let you walk away that easily. The next day, my email pinged with a message from an unknown sender. No subject, just a single line. You watched. Now you're part of it. My blood ran cold. I deleted it, blocked the sender, even ran a virus scan, but the unease clung to me. That night, I dreamed of the room from the video, the chair empty but somehow waiting for me. When I woke, my laptop was open, the screen glowing with the archive's homepage. I hadn't touched it. I yanked the battery out and tossed the laptop into a closet, convincing myself it was a glitch, a prank, anything but what my gut was screaming. Days passed, and I tried to move on. Work, coffee, repeat. Normalcy was my shield, but the world started to feel off. My phone would buzz with notifications from apps I didn't own. My browser history showed searches I never made, phrases like how to disappear and untraceable poisons. At night, I'd hear faint scratches from the closet where I'd stashed the laptop like nails on wood. I told myself it was mice, but I didn't believe it. Then came the package. It arrived on a Tuesday, a plain cardboard box with no return address. Inside was a USB drive, unlabeled, and a note scrawled in jagged handwriting. Finish what you started. I should have thrown it out, called the police, anything. But I didn't. I plugged it into an old tablet, one I didn't care about losing. The drive contained a single video file. Against every rational thought, I played it. The same room, the same chair. But this time, the man wasn't alone. A figure stood behind him, cloaked in shadow, holding a knife that glinted under the dim light. The man's face was still blurred, but his voice wasn't. He begged, sobbed, promised money, anything to be let go. The figure didn't speak. It just raised the knife, and the video ended in static. I sat there, frozen, as the tablet screen flickered and displayed a new message. You're next. My hands shook as I ripped the USB out, but the message stayed, burned into the screen like a digital scar. I couldn't sleep after that. Every creak in the apartment was a footstep, every shadow a figure waiting to step into the light. I started noticing things. Cameras in places they shouldn't be, like the corner of my office or the street lamp outside my window. My phone would turn on by itself, the camera light blinking for no reason. I stopped going online, stopped answering calls, but the messages kept coming. Emails, texts, even handwritten notes slipped under my door. You can't hide. We see you. The archive knows. Desperate, I turned to the only place I thought might have answers: the dark web. I bought a cheap burner laptop, set up Tor again, and went back to the archive. The site had changed. The red button was gone, replaced by a login page demanding a username and password I didn't have. I tried random combinations, but each failure brought a new pop-up. Wrong. Try again. We're watching. On the fifth try, the screen went black and my webcam light flicked on. My own face stared back at me, but something was wrong. My reflection's eyes were too wide, its smile too sharp. It moved when I didn't, tilting its head as if studying me. I screamed and threw the laptop across the room, but the damage was done. The archive wasn't just a site, it was alive, and it had my scent. I went to the police the next day. I told them everything, showed them the notes, the USB, even the broken laptop. They listened politely, took notes, and promised to look into it. But their eyes said they thought I was unhinged, another paranoid tech junkie who'd spent too long online. They found nothing. No trace of the archive, no record of the emails, not even a footprint of the USB's data. It was like the dark web had erased itself, leaving me to drown in my own story. That night I came home to find my apartment trashed. Furniture overturned, walls scrawled with the same phrase, "You can't unsee." My old laptop, the one I'd hidden in the closet, was open on the table, displaying a live feed of my living room. I was watching myself, in real time, through a camera I didn't own. I unplugged everything, smashed the laptop to pieces, and packed a bag to leave town. But as I reached for the door, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Look behind you." I froze. The apartment was silent, but the air felt heavy, like someone was breathing just out of sight. I turned slowly, expecting the worst, but there was nothing. Just my empty, ruined living room. Relief washed over me, but it was short-lived. My phone buzzed again, this time with a video attachment. It was me, standing in the apartment, turning to look behind me just seconds ago. The camera angle was from above, somewhere in the ceiling. I dropped the phone and ran. I've been running ever since. Motels, cash only, no internet. But it doesn't matter. The archive finds me. Notes appear in my bags, my car, even my dreams. Last week I found a photo tucked into my wallet. A grainy image of that same room, that same chair. But this time, it wasn't a stranger tied to it. It was me. My face wasn't blurred. I don't know how they got it, or when, but I know what it means. The archive doesn't just show you horror, it makes you part of it. Here's the twist, the part that keeps me awake. I'm not sure I'm still me. Sometimes when I catch my reflection, my eyes don't look right. They're too wide, too hungry, like the thing I saw in the webcam. I've started noticing gaps in my memory, hours I can't account for, places I don't remember going. Yesterday I found blood on my hands, but no cuts, no wounds. I think the archive isn't just watching me. I think it's inside me, rewriting me, turning me into something that belongs to it. I'm telling you this because you're listening, because you clicked on this story, because you wanted to know. But be careful what you seek out, what corners of the internet you explore. The dark web isn't just a place, it's a predator, and it's always hungry. If you ever find a site called the archive, don't click the red button. Don't watch the videos. And if you do, if you feel that pull, that curiosity, and you give in, don't be surprised when you get a message. You watched. Now you're part of it. And when you look behind you, don't expect to see nothing. Because the archive is already there, waiting in the shadows, ready to claim you. The internet was my playground, a vast maze of information where I could lose myself for hours. But one night, restless and chasing a thrill, I stumbled across a forum thread that changed everything. Buried in a corner of a tech board, someone had posted about a hidden part of the web, a place beyond search engines, accessible only through encrypted software. They called it the dark web, a shadow world where anything could be bought, sold, or seen, no questions asked. I wasn't looking to buy drugs or weapons. I just wanted to peek behind the curtain. That curiosity was my first mistake. I followed a guide to download Tor, fumbled through the setup, and soon found myself staring at a browser that looked like it hadn't been updated since the dial-up era. The dark web was a mess of text-heavy pages and broken links, but it had an eerie pull, like wandering through a deserted town. I clicked through marketplaces selling everything from fake IDs to stolen data, my pulse quickening with every page. Then I found it, a site called The Vault. No flashy design, just a black screen with a single sentence in white text. Truth awaits those who dare. Below it was a green button labeled Access. My finger hovered over the mouse. Every rational thought told me to stop, but the promise of secrets was too strong. I clicked. The screen flickered and a video loaded. It showed a concrete room, lit by a flickering bulb, with a metal table in the center. A woman sat there, hands tied, her face obscured by a glitchy blur. She was trembling, her breath sharp and panicked. A voice, low and distorted, came from somewhere off-screen. "You wanted the truth. Here it is." The camera zoomed in on her face, and even through the blur, I could see her eyes, wide, pleading. Then came a sound, a wet, tearing noise that made my skin crawl. The video cut to black, but not before her scream echoed in my ears. I slammed my laptop shut, heart hammering, and swore I'd never go back. But the dark web doesn't let go that easily. The next morning, my phone buzzed with a notification from an app I didn't recognize. It was a message, short and chilling. "You saw the truth. Now it sees you." I deleted it, checked my phone for malware, even reset it to factory settings, but the message lingered in my mind like a splinter. That night, I dreamed of the concrete room, the table empty but stained with something dark. When I woke, my laptop was on, open to the Vault's homepage. I hadn't touched it. I unplugged it, stuffed it under my bed, and tried to convince myself it was a virus, a hack, anything logical. But logic was starting to feel like a lie. Over the next few days, things got worse. My email filled with messages from unknown senders, all with the same phrase, "You can't unsee it." My browser history showed visits to sites I'd never heard of, pages about missing persons and unsolved crimes. At night, I'd hear faint tapping from under the bed, like fingers on a keyboard. I told myself it was nothing, but my apartment felt smaller, the walls closing in. Then the package arrived. It was a small envelope, no return address, delivered to my doorstep. Inside was a USB drive and a crumpled note that read, "Keep watching." My hands shook as I held it. I should have thrown it away, but something, maybe fear, maybe that same cursed curiosity, made me plug it into an old tablet. The drive held one file, a video. I hesitated, my thumb hovering over the play button, but I pressed it anyway. The same concrete room, the same table, but this time a man was tied to it. His face was blurred, but his voice was clear, raw with terror as he begged for his life. A figure stood behind him, shrouded in darkness, holding a tool that gleamed faintly. A scalpel, maybe, or something worse. The figure didn't speak, just leaned closer, and the man's screams filled the room. The video ended in static, but not before the screen flashed a new message. "Your turn is coming." The tablet froze. The words burned into the display. I yanked out the USB, but the message stayed, glowing in the dark. Sleep became impossible after that. Every shadow in my apartment seemed to move, every creak a warning. My phone started acting strange, apps opening on their own, the camera light flashing when I wasn't using it. I found scratches on my windows, too high to be from a tree. I stopped going online, stopped answering my door, but the messages kept coming. Texts from random numbers. "We know where you are." Notes slipped under my door. "The Vault sees all." I was unraveling, jumping at every noise, checking locks obsessively. But the worst was yet to come. In a panic, I decided to confront the source. I dug out the laptop, reinstalled Tor, and went back to the Vault. The site had changed. The green button was gone, replaced by a login screen demanding credentials I didn't have. I tried guessing, random words, phrases from the messages, but each failed attempt brought a new pop-up. "You're not ready. You're already ours." On the 10th try, my webcam activated, and the screen showed my own face. But it wasn't right. My reflection's mouth twitched into a grin I didn't make, its eyes too dark, too empty. It whispered my name, the sound coming from my speakers, and nowhere else. I smashed the laptop screen, but the voice lingered, echoing in my head. I went to the police, spilling everything. The site, the videos, the messages. I showed them the USB, the notes, the broken laptop. They took my statement, but their skepticism was palpable. They said there was no trace of the vault, no record of the messages, nothing on the USB but corrupted files. They suggested stress, maybe a mental health check. I left feeling more alone than ever, their pity worse than their disbelief. That night, I came home to find my apartment transformed. The walls were covered in scribbled phrases. You can't escape the truth. My furniture was rearranged, chairs stacked in the center of the room like a twisted shrine. Worst of all, my old laptop was back on my desk, screen intact, showing a live feed of my apartment. I was watching myself, standing in the wreckage, through a camera that shouldn't exist. I tore the place apart looking for it, ripped open vents, checked light fixtures, but found nothing. As I stood there, panting, my phone rang. The caller ID was my own number. I answered, and a voice, my voice, whispered, "Look up." I did. The ceiling fan was spinning slowly, and hanging from it was a Polaroid. It showed me, tied to that metal table, my face unblurred, my eyes wide with terror. I don't remember the photo being taken. I don't remember being there. But the image was real, the details too vivid. My shirt, the one I was wearing right then, stained with sweat. I grabbed my keys and ran, leaving everything behind. I've been on the move ever since, staying in cheap motels, paying cash, avoiding anything digital. But the vault follows me. Messages appear in places they shouldn't, scratched into bathroom mirrors, written on receipts, whispered in my dreams. Last night I found a new photo in my pocket, one I didn't take. It showed the concrete room again, but this time the table was empty. A note was pinned to it. Your seat is ready. Here's the twist that keeps me running. I'm not sure I'm still human. My reflection doesn't always match my movements. Sometimes in mirrors, I see that same grin from the webcam, a smile that isn't mine. I've started losing time, waking up in places I don't recognize, my hands stained with dirt or blood I can't explain. Last week I found a video on my phone, filmed from my own perspective, walking through that concrete room, holding a scalpel. I don't remember recording it. I don't remember being there. But I can still hear the screams from the video, and they sound like mine. I'm telling you this because you're listening, because you wanted a story, because you're drawn to the dark just like I was. But be warned, the dark web isn't just a place. It's a trap, a living thing that feeds on curiosity. If you ever find a site called The Vault, don't click the green button. Don't watch the videos. And if you do, if you feel that pull and give in, don't be surprised when you get a message. You saw the truth. Now it sees you. And when you look up, don't expect an empty room, because the vault is already inside you, waiting to take your place. The room was dim, the only light coming from the faint blue glow of my laptop screen. I sat hunched over the desk in my cramped apartment, the hum of the city outside barely audible through the thick walls. I'd always been a night owl, trawling forums and obscure websites for thrills, but tonight was different. Tonight, I'd stumbled onto something I wasn't supposed to find. The address bar read like a string of nonsense, a jumble of letters and numbers that didn't belong to any normal website. I'd found it buried in a thread on a sketchy forum, a place where people swapped tips on how to access the dark web. I wasn't naive. I knew the risks. Malware, scams, or worse. But curiosity had a way of overriding caution, and the cryptic post had hooked me. If you're brave enough, click this. You'll see things you can't unsee. I should have closed the laptop then, but I didn't. The link loaded slowly, my VPN masking my location as the screen flickered. A black page appeared. No text, no images, just a single input box and a button labeled Enter. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. The forum had warned about needing a key, some kind of code to get past the gate. I scrolled back to the thread, heart thudding, and found it. A string of digits and letters. posted by an anonymous user who'd vanished from the forum shortly after. I typed it in, hit the button, and waited. The screen shifted. A grainy video feed filled the browser, no sound, just a shaky image of a room. It looked like a basement, bare concrete walls, a single flickering bulb hanging from the ceiling. In the center was a chair, empty, its metal frame rusted. The feed was live. I could tell from the timestamp in the corner, ticking away in real time. My stomach twisted. Something about the emptiness of that room felt wrong, like it was waiting for something, or someone. I leaned closer, eyes glued to the screen. The chat box next to the video was alive with messages, usernames I didn't recognize, all typing in short, frantic bursts. "It's starting soon," one said. "Don't look away," said another. I tried typing, but my messages wouldn't send. The chat was locked to spectators like me, those without the right access. I was an outsider, watching something I wasn't meant to see. Then, movement. A figure stepped into the frame, their back to the camera. They wore a dark hoodie, face obscured, dragging something heavy across the floor. My breath caught as I realized it was a person, bound, gagged, eyes wide with terror. The figure dropped them onto the chair, securing their wrists with zip ties. The chat erupted, messages scrolling too fast to read. My hands trembled as I reached for the mouse, ready to close the tab, but I couldn't. Not yet. The figure turned, revealing a featureless white mask, smooth except for 2 black holes where eyes should have been. They held up a piece of paper to the camera, scrawled with a single word: "Choose." The chat went wild, users typing numbers, letters, words I didn't understand. My screen flickered again and a pop-up appeared. A poll. 2 options: red or blue. No explanation, no context. My cursor hovered over the X to close it, but the laptop froze. The poll stayed open, demanding an answer. I clicked blue, heart pounding, not knowing what it meant. The figure on the screen tilted their head, as if they could see my choice. They reached into a bag and pulled out a small glass vial filled with a blue liquid. The bound person thrashed, screaming behind the gag as the figure approached. I slammed the laptop shut, chest heaving, but the image burned in my mind. What had I just done? Had I chosen something? Condemned someone? I didn't sleep that night. Every creak in the apartment made me jump. Every shadow seemed to move. By morning, I convinced myself it was a prank, some elaborate roleplay for sick kicks. But the need to know gnawed at me. I opened my laptop expecting the site to be gone, but the link was still there, bookmarked automatically. Against every instinct, I clicked it. The same room loaded, but it was different now. The chair was empty. The floor stained with something dark. The chat was quieter. Only a few users typing cryptic phrases like "blue was a mistake" and "next one's tonight." My stomach churned. I scrolled through the forum where I'd found the link, but the original post was gone, the user banned. I searched the dark web for hours, trying to find answers, but every lead ended in dead links or password-protected pages. That night, I got a notification, a private message from an unknown sender. No username, just a string of numbers. The message was simple. You chose. You're in now. Attached was a new link. My hands shook as I stared at it. I didn't want to click, but the alternative, never knowing, felt worse. The page loaded instantly this time. No input box, no gate. Just the same basement, the same chair, but now there was a table covered in tools, knives, pliers, a syringe filled with something murky. The masked figure was back, standing still, staring at the camera. The chat was silent. No users, no messages, just me. Then, text appeared on the screen, white letters on black. You're the only one watching. Make it count. My blood ran cold. This wasn't a broadcast. This was personal. The figure gestured to the table, then held up another sign. Pick one. My screen flickered and a list of tools appeared, each with a checkbox. I tried to close the browser, but it wouldn't respond. The laptop was locked, the cursor blinking over the options. I clicked none, hoping it would end the nightmare, but the figure shook their head, as if disappointed. They picked up the syringe and approached the chair, which I now realized wasn't empty. A new person was there, bound, their face blurred but their panic clear. I screamed at the screen, begging them to stop, but the figure didn't hesitate. They injected the syringe, and the person convulsed, their muffled cries piercing the silence of my apartment. The feed cut to black. I threw the laptop across the room, panting, tears streaming down my face. This couldn't be real. It had to be fake. But the next day, a package arrived at my door. No return address, no label. Inside was a USB drive, unmarked. I didn't want to plug it in, but I had to know. My hands shook as I connected it to an old laptop I hadn't used in years, one I didn't care about losing to a virus. A single video file loaded. It was the basement, the chair, the person. The footage showed the injection, the convulsions, and then the figure turning to the camera, holding up a sign with my IP address scrawled on it. I unplugged the drive and smashed it with a hammer, but the damage was done. They knew who I was. They had my information. I disconnected my router, packed a bag, and left my apartment, crashing at a friend's place across town. I didn't tell him why, just that I needed to lie low. But the dread followed me. My phone buzzed with notifications from apps I didn't remember installing. Cryptic messages like, "You can't hide," and "Next show is for you." I stopped sleeping, stopped eating. Every noise was a threat, every stranger a potential masked figure. I tried reporting it to the police, but they dismissed it as a prank, saying the dark web was too murky to trace. I knew they were wrong. Whoever was behind this wasn't just playing games. They were watching, waiting. A week later, I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. No subject, just a link. I deleted it. But another came, then another. They kept coming, flooding my inbox until I blocked the sender. That's when the texts started. "You chose blue. Now choose again." I threw my phone against the wall, but it didn't stop. The messages appeared on my friend's TV, his laptop, even scrawled on a piece of paper slipped under the door. Desperate, I went back to the dark web using a burner laptop from a pawn shop. I needed answers, a way to stop this. I found a new forum, one claiming to expose dark web scams. Users there warned about a site that trapped people, forcing them to make choices in twisted games. They called it the stream. No one knew who ran it, but the pattern was always the same. You clicked, you chose, and you were theirs. I posted, begging for help, describing what I'd seen. Within minutes, my post was deleted and I was banned, but not before a single reply came through. "They're already in your system. Run." I powered down the laptop, heart racing, and checked the windows, the locks, the street below. Nothing seemed out of place, but I felt it, the weight of being watched. That night, I woke to the sound of static. My friend's TV was on, showing a familiar room, the basement, the chair. The masked figure stood there holding a sign with my name. Not my username, not my IP address, my real name. The chat was back, but it was just one message, repeating over and over, "Choose." I grabbed my bag and ran, not caring where I was going. I ended up in a cheap motel, paying cash, using a fake name. But the TV in the room flickered on as soon as I locked the door. The same feed, the same figure, now holding a knife. The chair wasn't empty anymore. It was my friend, bound, gagged, eyes pleading. The screen flashed a new poll. Live or die. I didn't choose. I couldn't. I smashed the TV, grabbed my things, and ran into the night. But deep down I knew it wouldn't matter. They'd found me once. They'd find me again. And somewhere in the dark corners of the web, the stream was still live, waiting for my next choice. Thank you for listening. Hope I didn't scare you too much. If you like my stories, please consider giving me a like and subscribe. See you next time.